And welcome back to Game 3, which is Hold the Line. Dave's still rocking Clan Ghost Bear with an Executioner G, a Karhu G, Grand Summoner B, Mad Dog Mark III, 2 Firemoth Gs, and 2 Viper Ds. And I'm still rocking Clan Seafox with a Cav Lance, Miss Lynx B, Night Wolf, Mongrel E, Arctic Cheetah, and a Battle Lance consisting of a Madcat Mark II, Vulture Mark IV, Timberwolf Prime, and a Firemoth Prime. Like I said, the scenario is Hold the Line. It's on page 164 of the Alpha Strike Companion. And it's incredibly brutal, as we quickly found out. And I like it a lot. It's quite thematic and bloody. So going into the game, the current score was 1045 Ghost Bear to 1345 Seafox. Going into game 2, I was down just based on kill points, but I still got 1,000 bonus points just for surviving and not getting wiped out in round 1, which I damn near came close to. So, according to the scenario in the rulebook and in the tournament packet, you can manipulate the terrain. You place the terrain features however you want. And so we just start going shenanigans. We start piling them all up on that center line to where I have to deploy in. And Dave's going to be coming at me. So he tries to create avenues where it blocks or gives him cover. So that's why you have a lot of buildings down here on the southern part of the board. On the northern part of the board, I put the woods that way to make it kind of really difficult for him to maneuver through. And naturally, he chose up north to place his heavier units. And on the southern edge, where there's a huge gap, that's where he chose his fast mechs. I got my Cav Lance defending on the south and my Battle Lance up north. I'm going to start chucking them in the trees. Dave's getting a lot of advice from my dogs, Phoenix and Toby. Damn traitors. But I stick that, like I said, those heavier units up in those woods. But I keep the Fire Moth in that Cav Lance free and clear of the woods. But I do make sure there's at least 6 inches of woods protecting him so you can't target him. And that's because I'm going to use him as a flanking mech. He can get behind those little slowpokes. So we roll off for first turn initiative, and we roll doubles twice, and Dave ends up winning the third roll. So I have to move first. I'm going to end up moving this southern lance, the Cav Lance. I start pre-measuring, like a cheaty git, how far his Firemoth Gs can run. Or move, rather. Since we're not using run, because that's in the advanced options. Otherwise, that 30-inch Firemoth would be off the table turn 1, and there's nothing I can do about it. That's another reason we're not using the advanced rules for the tournament. So, if you're astute, you notice what I just made a mistake on. With the exception of the Arctic Cheetah putting his back to the wall and facing my board edge, my southern mechs are completely in the wrong spot. They should have been deploying facing each other. That way they could have gotten shots as those fire moths pass. Dave decides to do a death conga up there along that oil refinery on the north part of the board. And he faces all his mechs inward. So he can take pot shots at my heavier elements, the Vulture 4, the Madcat 2, and the Madcat Prime. So I start checking the jump radius on the Madcat Mark II, and it's a damn shame I'm too short to get behind him. Had he been a little bit more aggressive and peeked out a little bit further, that Madcat Mark II would have jumped out of the woods right behind that Karhu and lit that sumbitch up. But it didn't happen. Dave was smart. Like I said in game 1, everything he does is deliberate, and he thinks things through. I'm very impatient, and there's not a lot of strategy with me in this game. I just want to blow stuff up. If you can entice me with something that's a juicy target, I'll go for it. I typically play all the games like that. So, that Madcat Prime moves to the edge of the woods there. And so everybody's in that first formation of woods there by the refinery. But that crafty little fire moth sneaks behind the Thor, so he can get some shots of opportunity. And his heavies cannot see that fire moth. I also conveniently placed all my heavies in that Battle Lance out of the 6-inch short range bubble. So he's firing at medium range, which gives them that +2 modifier, and they're in woods, which gives them that modifier as well. So it increases the survivability of those heavier elements, and he curses me for it. But Dave sees that opening, and boom, those fire moths just book it like they just stole a TV. Unfortunately, the Vipers aren't as fast, but they're a little bit more durable. And so he decides to jump them on the other side of that Tyrell building. The Gray Viper is completely obscured by cover. However, the way he placed that Blue Viper, his nose is sticking out just a little bit. So I have to check my angles here with my laser pointer. And I am elated that the Nightwolf and the Mistlings can see that Viper. The poor Grendel and Arctic Cheetah can't see him. But the Arctic Cheetah does have shots on the Fire Moths, and he's going to be taking a Hail Mary shot, which he misses. So it looks like those guys are getting off the board this turn. However, the Mistlynx fires. Needs a 9 to hit, and he gets it. 6 and a 3. So that's 4 damage on that Blue Viper. And next up is the Nightwolf. And he will finish off that Blue Viper. Never stood a chance against the Nightwolf's firepower. Just eradicated him. So then we're going to fire up there on the north end. The Fire Moth goes ahead and fires on that Thor and does 4 damage after burning a lucky reroll. Which, I burned a lot of rerolls this game. And I'm glad I took that Battle Lance. The Madcap Prime fires on the Thor and puts the Thor into forced withdrawal. Not only that, but he scores a critical weapon hit. So it's going to make it tougher for that poor Thor to fire on the way out. The Vulture 4 fires on the Vulture 3, misses, and then he rerolls, and then misses that too. It's terrible. And then the Madcap Mark II, he's going to go after that Vulture 3, and he savages it for 7 damage at medium range, scoring a fire control hit. Oh, so good. So good. It's like everything that was going wrong in that first game, besides piloting error or generalship error in the first game, it's going right in the last game and going so far right in this one. Now, the name of the game to win this scenario is to make sure, as the defender, I don't let 50% of his forces make it off the board. Doesn't matter what units they are, 50% has to not make it off the board. Well, I've already eliminated 1 mech, and I put another one in force withdrawal, so he's down to 6 mechs now. He's going to get 2 off the board this next turn, which are going to be those Fire Moths, who coincidentally miss both their shots on that poor Mistlynx. It's just terrible. And we kibitz a little bit more about what's going to happen. Dave kind of already sees how the game is going to end. He's very prophetic. He's taking his shots up there. And he's not really doing a lot of damage. He's missing a lot of them. He, when he needs an 8, he rolls a 5. And when he needs a 5, he rolls a 4. Or a 3. He's just all over the place. But he's never right on target with his dice rolls. He just can't hit anything. So it's not really a competitive game for him, and it's kind of a raffle stomp. I win initiative on the second go. So first off, those Fire Moths, boom, they're gone, deuces. 200 points for Dave. That Gray Viper just saw his buddy get toasted, and those Fire Moths leave him. So he jumps to safety behind that barracks over there, hoping that the mods will save him. Because he can get off the board next turn, easy. And that means only one of the heavier elements need to make it off the board. I start closing up the gaps there by moving my entire Cav Lance to close on that Gray Viper. The mods are going to be terrible and pretty high for me to hit. but I have to take the shots. I have to put him down. And the Arctic Cheetah zips up right next to that Gray Viper in short range. So the Karhu makes it over the refinery, and he's also danger close. The Executioner jumps over the refinery, also making a beeline for the table edge. The Thor 2 falls back into a fighting position so he can get some shots downrange. And the Vulture 3, this was the hardest piece for him to move. Because no matter where he put it, it was going to be in danger. If it was me, I just would have chucked it downfield. I just would have run. I would not have tried to get fancy with it. Because no matter what, I was going to take one of his pieces this turn. So I've got a lot of choices here. I can play it safe in the woods and try to stay at a 6, or I can try to go right up against him and get in his face and punch him in the nose, and that's exactly what I do. I go full-on blitz on Autobot City, and I move my Vulture 4 up against the Executioner, and I move that Mad Cat Mark II right up against the Karhu. I'm going to take something out. It's going to die. There's nothing he can do. Unless the dice don't favor me. The Fire Moth runs behind the Executioner. So now I've got 2 mechs there. And now I'm trying to decide what I'm going to do with that Mad Cat Prime. Or the Timby. And he's going to... We just keep going back and forth kibitzing. And we keep talking about his options. And how the lack thereof, how he feels. There are in this scenario. With his lighter and faster elements, it might have been better served for him to be the defender because of my slower units. But after much talking it over, I end up moving the Mad Cat Prime to the edge of the woods, 6 inches through those woods from the Vulture 3. And so that Timberwolf is playing hide and seek in the woods. He's trying to figure out who he wants to shoot, and he can't see the Vulture 3 at all. And we decide it's time to chuck some dice. That Vulture 4, man, he hits for 9 in short range. He is not a joke. He is going to do some damage if he hits. A lot of damage if he hits. But I really need him to hit, and I need that Fire Moth to hit as well. But it all comes down to these dice rolls coming up. If I miss these shots, Dave has a chance to win the next turn. And if he scores the hits he needs, I'm really in trouble if I don't hit him. And he strikes true with the Karhu. He eliminates the Mad Cat 2 by combining fire on it. The Executioner hits the Vulture 4 for 6 damage. Then the Vulture 3 takes a pot shot at its bigger brother, needs a 9, but misses with an 8. The Thor also from downtown needs a 9 and misses with an 8. I am so sorry, Dave. The dice gods were just not with you on those rolls. I mean, it was just brutal. The Gray Viper decides to pick on the Arctic Cheetah. He needs a 6. And guess what he's going to roll? A 5. He's going to roll a 5. So now I got to figure out where I'm going to shoot. So the Arctic Cheetah is going to shoot on the Gray Viper. And he is going to miss. At point blank range, he misses. He needed a 9, but he can't hit him. So the Grendel takes a shot on the Grey Viper. Miss. And then the Nightwolf hits, which obliterates the Grey Viper. That Nightwolf is the man. And that's where Dave chucks his dry erase pen. Symbolically, throwing the white towel. Oh, the look in his eye. And between the remaining mechs, the Madcat Mark II, the Vulture 4, and the Firemoth finish off the Executor, which makes Dave unable to get the 50% of his forces off the board. Even if the Karhu makes it off, which he won't, because he didn't kill any of my mechs down there, except for the Madcat Mark II, I'm going to eliminate that Vulture 3. And there's just nothing he can do about it. He'll end up getting 3 mechs off the board, and we count it as such. And that's the end of the game. Final score, 1350 Ghost Bear, 2060 for the Sea Foxes. So what did we learn about this series of games? Number one, it was a good thing advanced options were not allowed to be taken. That would have allowed for a lot of, I would say, imbalance with the scenarios. Two, it was a great thing that vehicles, infantry, offboard artillery, and aerospace are not allowed in this tournament. Those would have just been overly complicating things in regards to time and how the scenario is played. And generally, I feel like those other options aren't really balanced for Alpha Strike anyway, especially hover tanks. They're a pain in the ass. Not having Lance abilities put Dave at a severe disadvantage. Speed Demon and Lucky rerolls really assisted me throughout the game, and any type of a Lance ability would have really helped him, especially the reroll ability if he would have taken a Battle Lance. All those missed rolls, oh my god. And the most important thing we learned through the series of games is that Clan Sea Fox is, of course, the best clan. Dave's an incredible good sport, and I can't wait to play him again. He's a fantastic, fantastic opponent. And if you ever needed a repository of BattleTech lore and knowledge, he's my go-to guy. He's just on it. Appreciate you guys watching, and hopefully I'll get a couple more games up for you guys to enjoy. Thanks.